Yo, happy Friday. Bracy Skills Clinic's back with another video. I'm going to do a part two. I decided to do a part two on why I believe Deandre Ayton should receive the max from our San Antonio Spurs. I'm going to tell you why, man. I got into a little bit of details in the first video. Hopefully you guys liked, comment, share. Even if you didn't agree, I appreciate anybody that, tuned in and, are voicing their opinions, because I knew some would disagree, and that's fine. Everybody doesn't have to agree. But, I am in a Spurs group on Facebook, and I'm hearing people's reasons for agreeing and disagreeing. There are some people that feel like, yes, we should go after Ayton, but we shouldn't give him that much money. I understand that too. But for those that are disagreeing, it's everybody's opinion. You're entitled to one. But I'm hearing different reasons. I've heard, no, let's wait for Jakob to develop and see if we can draft a big. They're just not sold on Ayton. You got some people that just got bad taste in their mouth on how Ayton looked in that Game 7. So that has, some reasoning why some people are saying no. I'm going to answer all those. I'm going to counter those. I'm going to go with the disagreeing. Okay? For those that feel like we should wait for Jakob to develop, I'm a Jakob fan. Okay, I've been sold on Jakob for what he does. I do believe he's one of the best defensive centers in the game. I think he is growing offensively. He's getting better. I mean, his numbers show that. The eye test even shows it. Like his post moves, his jump hooks, those have gotten way better since he's first gotten to San Antonio. So I'm a Jakob fan. Don't get me wrong. I like Jakob. But sometimes you got to look at a situation and say, okay, as good as Jakob is, or even as much as he's improved, is he ever going to get to where Ayton's at even right now? I would say no. And I don't think people understand this. I don't think people realize how young Ayton is. Ayton is 23 years old. He's younger than Jakob. So when I hear people say, wait for Jakob, what are you talking about? Ayton is younger than Jakob. He's younger than Jack. He's younger than every big that's on our roster. The only way Ayton will be older than anyone is if we literally draft a big. And like I said, I'm all for that. I know we need size. I like Mark Williams from Duke for us. It's a couple candidates I like. I like Cockburn in the late first round for us. I mean, there's a lot of bigs to choose from. But why would you? I mean, my thing is, why would you put stock in a big that hasn't played yet when there's somebody right in front of you that you know you're going to get at the minimum 17 and 10? Look, Deandre Ayton averaged 17 and 10 last year on 63% shooting as the third option. Now, I even heard people say things like, well, you got Chris Paul, all he has to do is set screens and roll to the basket. You don't think DeJounte Murray can do that? We know Murray is not Chris Paul, obviously, but Murray averaged, 9 assists a game last year? Was it 9 or 10? 9? 9 assists last year. I don't see, what's going to change? Ayton's still going to be 6'11", 7 feet. So I think he can do the same thing with us, but this is the thing. Spurs fans, I'm kind of disappointed in some of you guys. You know why? Because you guys are undervaluing the development. This max offer, to me, I know, you don't offer max players off of potential. You offer them off what they've done. But it is a little bit potential. For Ayton, that's a potential move. And my thing is, Ayton shows flashes that he has a skill set. He can shoot the three. He does have a post game. I highly recommend that Spurs fans that are against Ayton coming to San Antonio, go watch the Pelicans series when Devin Booker was out and what Ayton did. Was that game was it game 3, I believe? The first game, yeah, it was game 3. The series was tied, and they went back to New Orleans. Go watch that game. You can't tell me that Ayton doesn't have a skill set and doesn't have intangibles that you can definitely build on. He's 23. I'm going to keep saying that. He's 23 years old. And we know how the Spurs organization operates. You got Ginobili involved with player development. You got Tim Duncan coming back in, whether he's on staff or not, or secretly on staff. I don't know what's going on with that. But you know Tim Duncan is going to be hands-on with this team. You get a Deandre Ayton working out with David Robinson and Tim Duncan. You don't think Ayton's going to develop and soak that up like a sponge, being 23 years old? Ayton, to me, what I see in Ayton is a kid that's trying to really, that values himself. I think Ayton sees himself as somebody that, he may not be as good, we all know that, but he sees himself trying to be in the class with the other two dominant bigs in today's game, and Joel Embiid and Jokic. And then you also got Towns, who had a good year. I think Ayton sees himself on that level. And what better place for him to showcase that for a team that has nothing but guards and forwards and no bigs, and the track record Pop has, and the former players that came before you that are still very much involved with the organization. What better situation that's available that makes sense for Ayton where he's going to get all that? See, it's not just I'm just throwing names out. It makes sense even for Ayton, the individual. Take the Spurs out. If I'm DeAndre Ayton, I want to prove myself as being the best big or one of the best bigs in the game. There's only 2 places for me to go, and the other place is not what it used to be. I'm talking about the Lakers. Hey, I'm a Spurs fan. You know I got to send a diss at the Lakers somehow. But that Laker organization right now, as of today, is not set up for DeAndre Ayton to develop. So the only other place where the history of bigs rely there and they're going to have time for him to develop and he's going to work with what we already have is San Antonio. Okay, the sun, I don't know if I can see y'all clearly or see myself clearly because the sun is out, but you can't see my face, man. Don't worry about it. Just listen to what I'm saying. But DeAndre Ayton in San Antonio makes sense for several reasons. And I just think that Spurs fans can't be closed-minded because I don't hear no other option. I don't see no other option that makes sense. I mean, you can still draft bigs because it's definitely a need. We need bigs. But I'm talking about in that free agent class, I'm talking about how many, to me, I look at Ayton like this. Ayton is on his way. He's not quite there yet. But he's still, I would say, second-tier bigs. Second tier only because he just needs more time. The first tier is, Jokic, Embiid, Towns. Who else? For centers. I mean, we know it's not a deep pool. Anthony Davis, right? For bigs. Ayton is like right next in line. So, getting back to my point, if those are the only bigs that are better, we're not getting Joel Embiid. We're not getting Jokic. We're not getting Anthony Davis. We're not getting Karl Anthony Towns. So, if these are the teams that we got to compete with, let's just stick to the Western Conference, right? Let's just stick in the West. Stick in the West. You got Anthony Davis. I mean, if he gets healthy, he's a problem to deal with. You have Jokic. He's a problem to deal with. You have Karl Anthony Towns. He's a problem to deal with. Everybody else that don't have one of those guys on their teams, unless you're the Warriors, which, exceptional guard play, even with Jaren Jackson Jr. with the Grizzlies, they have somebody that can go get them 20 points and 10 rebounds on any given night. So if we're trying to improve our stock in the West, compete for a championship one day, you got to have somebody that can defend and possibly put up 20 and 10. And I'm saying Ayton, Ayton is a free agent, a restricted free agent this summer. You're not going to have a bunch of guys available like that. So, yeah, you can develop your own, but bigs take longer to develop. Go look at Joel Embiid. Go look at Jokic. They didn't come right in the league and it was just showtime. Some of the guys go through injuries. So I'm saying drafting a big and them coming in right away and being super, super effective or even more effective than what Jakob is right now, the chances of that happening are very, very low. The chances of that happening are very, very low. In fact, it is more likely for a big to turn into a bust than it is for them to turn into just a one-time all-star. Go look at so I'm saying we're talking about. I'm not saying these guys are going to be bust out of the draft. I actually think there's going to be a lot of solid pros coming out of this draft that are bigs. But all I'm trying to say to Spurs fans that are on the other side of Ayton coming, all I got to say to you guys is you're not going to get a better option than Ayton. And you're going to have to max him out to get Phoenix to say, no, we're not going to bring him back. That's where the max comes in at. The max comes in because that's the only way we know Phoenix is not going to match that offer. They're not going to give Ayton max. So like I say, he's a restricted free agent. So even if we sign him to a qualifying offer, Phoenix has, a week to match. If you give him something close or even a little bit more than what Phoenix offers, I mean, you kind of leave that door open for him to possibly go back. You offer Ayton the max, he's going to sign it right away, but you're not going to be wasting your money. The only way that deal doesn't work is if Ayton gets hurt. And that can happen with any player, anybody, even current players we have on our roster. So injuries are a part of the game. But the key points that I want to make sure that we don't miss is how much Ayton is of a need for our roster, number one. Two, how much he's going to get in his development, not just physically, but mentally. Being with Pop, being around Tim Duncan, being around David Robinson, knowing what a championship environment feels like as far as the experiences those guys have, okay? Being a part of Coach Pop's defensive scheme. We know Pop's defensive scheme is superior. And a guy like Ayton, so, and then not only that, you're wanted. You're wanted. You don't think DeJounte and KJ is going to embrace Ayton being there? He's wanted. Look at what happened with DeRozan. DeRozan was wanted. Chicago wanted him. Now, I know they lost first round. They had injuries. They had a lot of injuries out of fairness. But all I'm saying is look how happy DeRozan looked this year. DeRozan was an MVP candidate. Nobody would have ever thought that while he was in San Antonio. Nobody would have ever thought he would be an MVP candidate in Chicago. But that's what happens when you change environments and everybody wants you. Everybody wants to play. They feel like you're a big piece. I just see Ayton fitting right in with the young guys that we got. I see them embracing him. I see, our Hall of Fame level bigs, Tim Duncan and David Robinson, guiding him, being a mentor to him. And I see it working out. I really, really do. So, hey, man, if you still disagree, that's your business, man. It's still Spurs family. All I'm saying is, man, think about all the things I just said, man. Think about all those things because to me, it makes sense not just for the Spurs, but it also makes sense for Ayton, the individual, for his career. So that's part 2 on why I think my San Antonio Spurs should offer Deandre Ayton the max contract. We out. Y'all have a good weekend.